Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Berkeley Pooh and welcome to day 296 of a year of change. Today we're going to touch on, we're going to sort of not repeat, but revisit something I mentioned yesterday. Where we're starting this week looking at how to get a moderate exercise, something that we know that we'll be able to follow through on, things like that. There is a mental barrier there. And I had mentioned yesterday that some of the stuff that sort of comes up, this is what I remember when I was starting, of course. The big thing is, I'm going to get tired, I'm going to get sweaty, I'm going to get sore, it's too hard, I'm going to be out of breath all the time. There's a whole slew of things that sort of come with that exercise portion. And given our lifestyle over the past few years, at least for many of us, it's really difficult to try to sort of get over that and try to start something off and say, okay, I understand it's going to be a little bit painful, it's going to be uncomfortable and annoying and everything else, but I'm going to start. I need to start something. But that issue of it, the basically just pain, we're just going to call it that. And it may not be, debilitating pain, but just that discomfort and the pain and being tired and knowing what we have to look forward to is a deterrence for a lot of us. As it should be, because everyone is geared that way. Just inherently, human beings are just very lazy creatures. Almost all animals are, when you really look at it all the way around. Maybe not ants. Bugs aren't necessarily lazy, but animals in general, including us, we spend as much time as we can saving up our energy. We don't like to exert it. We don't like to get rid of it, because for as long as there have been people, there's always been something that's either trying to kill us or eat us or fuck us or punch us, kill us again, and then punch us. There's always something that's trying to do something bad to us one way or the other. So, of course, we store up all of our energy, and it's generally, for 500,000 years, it's been, we store up our energy, we use it in big bursts, and, so that we can get the hell away from whatever's trying to eat us at the time. So that's part of the reason why our bodies are just so susceptible to becoming fat, and why it's so easy for us to become fat and so much harder for us to get rid of it after it's done. And it's not just us. It's people, even people that exercise all the time. If they were just to stop exercising, which we've seen what happens with the A&E show that's coming out, when people like that, if they just were to stop exercising and eat the way that we ate, then yeah, the same thing's going to happen to them. But the reason why I'm sort of bringing this up is because that laziness, that tendency for our bodies just to be hardwired to store as much energy as we can for when we need it, is also part of the reason why the exercise eventually gets easier. I'll explain what I mean. Basically, because our bodies try to hold in as much energy as it can, it doesn't like exerting it. So when we start doing something like, for example, the treadmill or swimming or weightlifting or whatever it is that you decide to do, those are the three that keep coming into my head. I don't know why. I think I mentioned them yesterday as well. But we're going to use running for the time being, because that's as similar as you can get from running for your life, from some bear or something, whatever it is. Anyway, so because our bodies are just generally hardwired that way, to save as much energy as we can, when we start doing something like that, that's when it starts going, all right, this is something bad's happening. We're going to start burning off as much energy as we can to get rid of this. And then, which is why we start burning off all the sugars, and then we start burning off fat and all the other stuff. And so just as we keep going, it's going, you don't have enough energy for this shit. You need to stop doing this. But because we're hardwired in a way that makes our bodies not want to do that, eventually it starts paying attention and going, this is happening an awful lot, and I'm burning a tremendous amount of energy in doing this. This is why when we first start exercising and dieting and everything else, when people start a weight loss plan, generally there's a huge drop off, and then it sort of slows down and you get a plateau and stuff like that. The reason for that is because as your body's sort of going through all this, this is happening like 2-3 times a week now that they're running from something or walking or exercising, whatever it is that you're doing. So we're burning up a lot of energy in doing this. We can't do this anymore because eventually we're going to run out. Now, this isn't obviously what your body's thinking. This isn't a conscious decision. This is just, I'm trying to narrate this properly and put this into a nice little package. So basically what happens is that Mr. Brain goes down and talks to Mr. Muscles, but your body basically gets to a point where it goes, all right, we need to do this much more efficiently. So the first time that you do this exercise, whatever it is, yes, it's going to kick your ass. It's going to be horrible because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to do what you're doing. And it's something new. It's something that you've never really done before. So, like jogging or walking up the hill or swimming or weightlifting, whatever it is that you've decided to do, it's brand new. So, yes, you're not going to be used to it. You're not going to know what to do. It's going to be rough the first few times. But as things progress, your body gets much more efficient at doing it because it still tries to hold on to as much energy as it can. The first time you did it, maybe it burned off, say, 1,000 calories of energy. That's a lot to do, but I'm just using that for numbers' sake. So as you keep doing it more and more and more, your body's going to become much more efficient at holding on to that. The same reason why we hang on to fat, why when we eat it, it just goes, no, keep giving me as much as you can. I need to store it as much as possible. Then it's going to say, okay, I can do the exact same thing now, but I only need to burn 950 calories now. And then eventually 900 calories, and then 800 calories. So although that doesn't sound like a good thing, what you'll notice is that as you're exercising, the exercise is getting easier. And it's not necessarily because you're building muscle or that, you're getting healthier. I mean, that technically is part of it. That's part of the reason why. But in general, it's because you're becoming much more efficient at doing that same activity, which is why you have people that will alternate day to day when they're doing exercise and stuff. And they'll say, you need to, if you hit a plateau, you need to change something up and do something different, things like that. Basically, it's the same principle. So as your body gets more used to it, it becomes much more efficient at doing it. So the exercise becomes easier. Well, if you have been exercising for an extended period of time, if you've been doing this since we started, way back 200, however many days ago, you'll notice that if you were to do the same exercise that today that you did back then, it doesn't do anything for you because you're just so used to doing it, unless you haven't done it in a very long time. But stick with me here because we're going to try to keep this, picture going. So, and for those of us that are just sort of starting out something new, it's going to be really, really tough when we first start out. And eventually, though, it will get easier. And it's not because we've, gotten stronger or we've gotten faster or anything else. It's just because your body just inherently wants to hang on to as much energy as it can. So yes, the exercises do get easier because you're not burning as many calories. You're not working as hard to get the same job done. Now, this is why, as we're exercising, we need to gradually increase what we're doing. So when I started on my treadmill, I started out, I think it was 3.5 kilometers an hour, somewhere around there, just a very leisurely pace, the same pace that you would take if you're like, I should go to the bathroom before I start watching the movie. And then just sort of saunter around your house and go get a snack and things like that. That's about how fast I was walking. And even then, after an hour, my legs were jelly, just because I'm just not used to it. You're walking back and forth, you're carrying around a tremendous amount of weight, and then you just do it for an hour straight. It's ridiculous because you're just so used to saying, no, I'm going to walk the shortest distance, and then I'm going to sit down again, or I'm going to lay down. So, on top of that, of course, where we are now, we're carrying around a lot less weight than we were before. So just in general, we're eating healthier all the way around. So we don't have a whole lot of salt and sugar and all the other bad stuff that's in there. The stuff that we're eating is useful. I don't want to say it's healthy and everything else and all the other hippie bullshit. Just in general, it's more useful than the stuff that we were eating before. So that helps out. There's a whole slew of things that are helping us out. So, but I kind of lost my train of thought here and forgot the place. Where was I? Yes, starting back there when I first started, 3.5, there we go. Slow, build up, there we are. So, as I started improving, when it got to a point where I thought, I can do an hour and it's not bothering me all that much. Okay, now I'll pick up the pace a little bit by 0.5 kilometer. And then I increase the incline by 0.5 degree, I think, each time, which is not much. But it was enough that I could feel that there was something different about it, but not enough that my body went, no, you're going to be in pain again for the next day. There were days when things were very, very bad because, again, carrying around so much extra weight on top of trying to start something new is really tough. But as we progress, aside from just being more efficient at burning off energy and, we're burning fewer calories, which is not exactly what we're looking for, but it does show you, so like when you hit those plateaus, it does show you that you're doing something right. Your body's getting used to the exercise. It's becoming much more efficient at doing it, which means good enough. Now I can change it up a little bit, add something really small. It doesn't need to be anything huge. Just a little tweak so that there's constant improvement. That's what we're looking for. So, I was going to have another point, and then I got distracted again. It's really distracting so far, and I don't know why. What was I going to say? Carrying around weight. When I first started. Okay. So, we're... number of things that are going to make exercise easier. One, your body's going to get used to it because it wants to hang on to the fat as much as it can, which, although it sounds really shitty, in general, it's going to be okay. We've made progress with food, and the exercise is a very small portion of that. Exercise, right now anyway, it's been sort of going back and forth, but over the past couple of years, they've generally been saying it's 80% what you eat and 20% exercise. So we have the food part down, it's just the exercise part that we're working on now. But as you become much more efficient at doing this, it's going to be a little bit easier to work with. Plus, we have less weight on us now. So even starting out is going to be a little bit easier. And as your muscles get used to it, it's sort of like riding a bike or playing a piano, that there is some muscle memory in there. Obviously, there's much more practice going into a piano than riding a bike. And you can fall off a piano and you're probably still going to be okay. But in general, there's I don't know if muscle memory is the correct term, but your muscles just sort of get used to doing the exercise. And because of that, because we're just sort of, it's only really been in the past, maybe 20,000 years at most, that we haven't had to, no, I don't think it's even been that long. Probably, I'm going to say less than 10,000 years since we've really been in a position where we didn't have to fight tooth and nail and, for every scrap of food. And really only in the past couple of 100 years, when there's been such an abundance of food that having too much of it is our main problem in our societies, that we have too much food. So, it's a new problem. So, of course, our bodies aren't going to change immediately and then just go, oh, well, good enough. Then I need to, be slim and healthy because that's what everyone wants. We've been going for 500,000 years with our bodies going, every scrap of fat that you can get, save it. You're going to need it eventually. And we always did. And, I highly doubt there were any 300 or 400 pound cavemen lurking around. But, 500,000 years from now, maybe we'll all be tall and slim because we won't need all the fat and sugar and everything else because of our lifestyle, because it's changed so much and we don't have those predatory things going on anymore. Then we'll be okay. But for right now, we are still stuck sort of in, the Neanderthal mentality of, no, we need to save as much energy as we can, because we eventually are going to need it because something's going to jump out and attack us and kill us and our whole family and everything else. So that's part of the reason why it's so difficult to sort of start losing weight, and part of the reason as well why we aren't really tracking this anymore. Because the general consensus is that if you are doing exercise, then you do need to account for it. But that's really for people that are doing, going to the gym 5 or 6 times a day for 2 or 3 hours a day, just doing as much as they can. If you're burning off 5,000 or 6,000 calories in the run of a day, then yeah, you need to eat those back, because inevitably you're going to just run out, and you can't do that. You need to keep things going properly. You need calories to keep going. For us, though, we have an excess of calories. We have a tremendous amount of extra calories, and in the run of a day when we're doing exercise, even on my treadmill, I'm probably not burning much more than 700 calories. I think I was burning 700 calories roughly when I was walking for an hour at 300 pounds. So that's why I figure it's probably less. It's probably more like 500 calories at this point. But I do sort of do the jogging thing as well. But it's not enough. It's not enough to say, what, I need to eat those back. Otherwise I'm, causing harm to myself. Because I also have an additional 70 or 75 pounds of fat that needs to go. And that's what's burning when I'm using the treadmill. That's what it's going to, because there's nothing else for it to go to. Well, I hope that's what it's going to. It's burning sugars, but eventually it will start burning fat. So anyway, main reason why I sort of want to bring this up is because, for those of you that are just sort of starting out with an exercise with us over the past couple of weeks when we've really been focusing on that, don't get deterred by the fact that you're going to be tired all the time. It's going to hurt. If you're getting worn out and it's hurting all the time, you're doing too much. So slow down. Start out very, very slowly. We are gradually going to build up to where we need to go, or where we need to be. What we need to is. There you go. We are gradually going to start building up and getting to where we need to be. But for right now, we want to get used to the idea of exercise because it's going to be a part of our life for the rest of our life. It's not going to be something that we're going to say, well, we can exercise for 6 months and then diet for 6 months, lose all the weight, and then we'll be fine. That's when you get onto TV shows that people lose 100 pounds and then you come back a year later and they've gained 120 because they haven't changed anything. Now, the food aspect of it, I think we're okay. We are still working on it. It's still going to be a struggle for the rest of our lives, but we have it under control. It's manageable at this point. It's not just something that I can't help myself anymore. We're going to have days like that, sure, off and on, but in general, that's under control. That is being managed. The exercise portion is mainly just so that overall we have a better feeling. So when you're looking at starting things out, you're going to read up a lot of stuff that says, well, this is why you should exercise because it helps you lose weight and, makes you feel better and gives you better sleep. Or, yeah, I think that's in there. More energy and other stuff. The more energy, I always figured, because they always present it as saying, well, if you exercise, you feel energized. Not exactly. It's sort of getting back to the efficiency thing. Because your body is becoming more efficient at burning fuel and, taking in oxygen and delivering all the oxygen and the nutrients and everything else to all your muscles, because when we're exercising, it's trying as hard as it can to do that, and it will find the easiest way to do that so that it's burning as few calories as possible and getting the most bang for its buck, delivering everything that it needs to. The reason why I think that they say that it gives you more energy is because, I, for one, I've been trying to get up around 5 a.m. now. I used to get up at 6 a.m. And do all my stuff, and I felt the time constraints were a little tight. So earlier on last week, I thought, I'm going to try getting up at 5 and see what happens. It took a while, but I'm getting up at 5, still doing my full day, and still doing everything I need to, and usually going to bed around 10 or 11 at night. Things are still good, and I still feel okay. I don't feel drug out. I don't feel exhausted like I used to when I was, super, super fat. Fatter, I will say. I'm still super fat, but I was fatter at that point. Because then, I could sleep for 12 hours and then get up and want to go back to bed within 2 hours for a nap. Just always tired all the time. Because it's just, again, don't want to exert any energy, but there's so much bulk that it has to deliver stuff to. Of course, I'm going to be exhausted. And the stuff I'm eating is horrible as well, so. But I think the energy thing, the reason why they say that is because of the efficiency thing. Because our bodies are becoming much more efficient at delivering oxygen and nutrients and everything else because we're exercising. Then when we're at rest, it doesn't have to burn anything. But that efficiency is still there. So we still have the energy, we still have all the oxygen, we're still getting the nutrients, and it's found an easier way to do it because it's had to. Because when we're exercising, we still need that. And I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's what I get from it. So it's not that you're going to say, oh, I can stay awake for 5 more hours after exercising. It's not quite like that, but that debilitating exhaustion that we always felt, that just seemed to be like a daily thing. And you got used to it so that it doesn't really stand out until you stop and think about it. That is gone. I don't have that anymore where you're just always tired and you're sore and you're aching everywhere all the time. The majority of that obviously is because I've gotten rid of a lot of the weight, but I think the exercise has helped as well because it's just, I'm moving more, so I feel better. Actually the other day, Thursday or Friday, I think, I slipped and did one of those whoa things. There was a car coming and it almost hit me. But I was walking down the road and I thought, they aren't moving over, so I had to go to the sidewalk. And the reason why I wasn't on the sidewalk is because there was tons of ice on it. So, and of course I slipped. And I felt a twinge in my back. I felt something go pop, which was not pleasant. Because generally what that means is, all right, I know it's happened. Now for the next few days, I'm not going to be able to walk. But I went to work. Things were fine. I still kept sort of moving throughout the day because thankfully my job, it's a desk job, but I'm always getting up and moving around and doing stuff. I'm not just sitting at my desk for like 2 hours at a time, which is nice. So just constantly moving around, and then, did a bunch of stuff in the evening, and then, still did my treadmill the next day. And so it's been 4 or 5 days now, and I'm okay. This is the first time that, back's a little sore, but it's not that I cannot walk anymore. And I think part of that, again, is because my muscles are a little more used to moving. I'm not carrying around as much weight. I'm getting regular exercise, so I think that may have helped a little bit. I'm hoping, I think. Oh God, I went 20 minutes again. Anyway, that's pretty much sort of what I don't even know if I actually made a point during this entire thing. My point that I originally was going to make was when we first start out, yes, it's going to be difficult. I've never, never denied that. And we knew that going in. Same thing with the food. It's going to be difficult to start this off, but go slow. Find something that you can do for half an hour, a couple of times a week, that at the end of it, you go, okay, you know what? I know I can feel that I've exercised. Like there's that, you'll understand when that happens. If you're just going for a little bit of a walk and you're like, nah, didn't really feel like I did anything. But not to get to a point where you're breaking yourself. But just doing something that okay, all right, I can feel it. I understand I'm a little warmer, I'm a little out of breathier, and there's a little bit of a sweat going on. Good. That's where you need to be to start with. Aside from that discomfort, there's not going to be any, I can't walk in the next morning because you've done too much too soon. You're not going to tear any muscles, any of that stuff. It's mainly just getting to a point where it's a regular occurrence. And it will become easier. As it becomes easier, then you can increase either the intensity or the duration or, change what you're trying to do, which is what we're going to be doing this week as well, or what I'm going to be doing this week, and hopefully bring that back next week. Trying something a little bit different so that, again, that efficiency, it'll sort of bleed out into other things. But over and above everything else, when you're doing your exercise, you're still going to have weeks where you plateau. You're still going to have weeks where you gain. A lot of it is going to be because, you think, well, I can have a little bit of this. I exercise this week. It should be fine. Don't sort of fall into that trap. I've gone into it a number of times, and there are those moments when you think, I can relax a little bit because I exercised this week. And then you think, oh, I lost 0.1 pounds or gained 0.1 pounds, either one. But don't get discouraged by it. It's just like anything else. We're going to have our ups and downs all the way through this. But in the long haul, it is going to get better. You're going to get better at doing it. You're going to be much more efficient at it. It's going to be easier. And then you're going to be able to start looking to where you can improve things. And then it's going to kick your ass all over again, and then you'll get used to it. And then you'll bump it up again. It's just little baby steps like that will get you where you want to be. That can happen. So for right now, I'm going to leave this video here, though. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.